Floods brought on after sudden heavy rain have caused 13 deaths across Central Europe. The situation remains critical in the southern town of Dagendorf. Rivers in the Polish province of Lons have also reached dangerously high levels, and a flood on the Danube is expected to peak on Monday. The European Commission has warned it had run out of emergency funds to help those countries affected. In New York City, a woman has pleaded guilty to engaging in a fraudulent fundraising scheme in which she posed as the aunt of a Newtown school shooting victim. And finally, in the UK, police say a 76-year-old pilot from London suffered only minor injuries when his small plane crashed into a back garden in Cheltenham, Gloucestershire. More on these stories and others next.
Disaster has made the news, Elizabeth. We have to get over them somehow.
God willing, in the end. Politicians seem to love a good crisis, but I've had enough trauma to last me a lifetime. That's just the family.
Oh, you have always cooked so well.
What happened, Elizabeth?
Well, it's a long story. My husband was from Romania, emigrated to Britain, and placed at Oxford University. Did very well, was an excellent student. But then one day he contracted tuberculosis and thought he had no future. So he went to Switzerland to find care, convinced he was going to die.
God, I'm sorry. Then what happened?
He said to the nurse, I think I'm going to die. She said, so what? We've all got to go sometime. Well, he was so shocked. Those few words changed him completely. Decided he wasn't going to be beaten, developed a positive attitude, overcame his tuberculosis and never looked back.
Amazing. It's belief that blocks alternatives.
Yes, with positive thinking he overcame his tuberculosis. We were married, had 2 children, lived in the country. But then a second trauma.
Another trauma?
Yes. He rather liked politics and didn't think he had to get a job to support the family. So I had to support the family with a teaching job. So I kicked him out. Second trauma.
Then what happened?
He moved to London, started a business, made a fortune. So I took him back. Third trauma.
A good reaction.
Talking of positive reactions, I became a doctor because when I was 5, my father died of cancer after a long illness. His last words were, goodbye, Robert, look after your mother.
My mother suffered a similar trauma too. My father died of cancer when I was just a baby. My only trauma now is my dear husband Bob with his sarcastic British humour. And of course he supported Bush. Enough said.
A friend of mine was just about to have a nervous breakdown when he reached the top of his career. He kept it secret for so long, believing it to be shameful. It's amazing how we try to keep our mental problems secret.
Well, some people do, but I have patients who live on antidepressants and don't care who knows about it.
People in the West don't know how good they've got it. When I go to Iran for my UN work, I have to be so careful. Not to show any hair, not to wear light-coloured clothing. It's ridiculous that in 2013 women have to do this. God forbid we provoke the men sexually.
It's God forbid a woman should provoke a man sexually, Gulu, even after a gin and tonic.
The culture creates misunderstandings. In China, stroking a child's head is insulting. And never give a clock as a present, that's a sign of death. In Burma, don't point your toe or foot at anyone, it's an insult. And always keep the sole of your foot hidden from everyone, even yourself.
It's amazing how people allow themselves to be traumatised by irrational beliefs. Yes, they put their faith in, illusion and magic rather than reality. Mind you, I suppose some parts of the Bible do take a stretch of the imagination.
You know, even in 2013, in some rural areas of Iran, they still arrange marriages for preteen girls. And needless to say, abortion is illegal. But worst of all is that pregnancy outside of marriage is forbidden and can lead to families sometimes committing so-called honour killings.
Yes, but even in the United States of America, female child abuse may still go on in the hills and backwoods of the Appalachians. The old hillbilly lifestyle continues. Kept very secret, but accepted. And even back in Britain, look at the case of Jimmy Savile. Now then.
Yes. My mother lived with a man for many years. She told everyone he was her brother-in-law. Even when she died at 91, she still thought the neighbours didn't know what she was up to.
But nowadays, lots of people live together with no thought of marriage, even after 2 or 3 children. Until some old-fashioned parent dares to suggest, don't you think you should think about getting married, dear, just for the sake of the children?
Well, I thought I was out of date until I started reading this. It's a fabulous book. Real tearjerker. The bookseller of Kabul. No, I'm fine, thank you. It's about a family in Afghanistan where things are certainly very different.
Let's hear about it, Elizabeth.
Well, in the book, a journalist from Norway, Saishta, is researching what it's like to be an Afghan woman. She's invited to spend 3 months with a family wearing the burqa, covering her hair, face and body for protection, as the men say.
So you are so welcome in our family. Thanks, Sharifa. As a journalist from Norway, it is a great adventure for me to be part of your family here in Kabul. You were so kind to let me stay. I have so much to learn about your culture.
Please, sit down.
Thank you.
Yes, Kabul has its own culture. We have our own issues, secrets, and dogma.
I want to understand the life of women in the family. Is it fair to say that women are controlled for their own protection?
Yes, for their own protection. The responsibility of the man is suited my husband. In this family, he is the head man and financially supports the family with his wonderful book business. He's a powerful head of the family. He was the eldest son of a very dominant, traditional father who set his values and behavior. Authority.
Complete authority?
Complete authority, yes. We women and children must obey him. Women cannot go to the doctor or even visit their parents without accompaniment and sultan's permission. Protection, he calls it.
What about education?
That doesn't depend upon me, but upon the father. There is no school for girls, and sometimes not even for boys. My youngest son, Abdul, he works in a hotel lobby.
Did the Sultan have other children?
2 sons and a daughter. The eldest son is key to all. Always live for the eldest. He must inherit everything.
The younger son doesn't count for much.
No, not that much. Then, at 55 years of age, Sultan decides he wants a second wife. Younger, of course.
How can he do that?
Well, normally he would ask his mother. She'll select suitable candidates. Or he could even ask his sisters or even his brother. The new wife must be acceptable to almost the whole family.
What about the acceptance of his first wife, Sharifa, the mother of 3 children who has served him for years?
No, she was not consulted. However, Sultan was not looked after properly by his mother and the sisters and the brother because they all liked Sharifa.
Yeah, no.
So, can you tell me how your second wife was arranged?
Well, confidentially, I select 3 girls that fit the bill. Young and healthy, preferably related cousins. Better to marry relatives.
They must all be related to each other.
But of course, the first of this was 16-year-old Sonia, whose father couldn't work because of a knife injury from a family feud.
Family feuds go on.
All the time. So I arranged to visit Sonia's house and suggest to her father that a friend of mine wishes to marry her, that he is very, very rich, in the book business, well educated. And his wife, she's getting old. You see, I am a businessman, an entrepreneur.
And how did the father respond?
His first question is, how are his teeth? Now, what have teeth got to do with Afghan wedding? They show age, old age, no tooth, no dentist, bad tooth. Take them out.
And what was the father's reaction?
No, gently. You see, for him, this is an opportunity for a better price. His answer, my daughter is too old, too young, your friend is too old.
What does that mean?
In Afghanistan, it means I don't want to be greedy, but I think I can get a better price for an old husband.
And then?
So, I return the next day and speak to the girl Sonia. I kiss her on the hand and bless her on top of the head and say to her that a very rich man wishes to marry her. No reply, she's afraid of the whole thing. So I return the next day. On the third day I proposed, with a gold ring, necklace, bracelet, earring, 600 pounds of cooking oil, 300 pounds of rice, a cow, a few sheep, $500. A very good price indeed.
Everybody happy. What did Sonia say?
The father, he asked me the name of the suitor. I say I will return the next day with a photograph. The next day I present my photograph and demand a quick answer. They have 1 hour to decide. The father asks Sonia, who says nothing, so an agreement is assumed by Sonia and a date is fixed. A kerchief of sweetmeats is given to me by the father as a traditional sign of a wedding deal.
And what about your wife, Sharifa?
Oh, inshallah. Oh, excuse me, I have to get... Ha, salam alaikum. Yeah.
Is it common for a man to take a second wife and sometimes a third?
Well, maybe the first one will feel rejected. A family crisis.
So, Sultan's new wife may be a crisis?
No, you see, Sai, to justify the new wife, I invented a medical excuse. I put out a good story that I have a medical problem. So I suggest that the Sultan should find himself a second wife.
How'd you get along?
We don't hate each other. Did we become good friends? Well, after all, I was pushed into arranged marriage by my parents and against my own will. So I have some sympathy for her.
That is very kind.
Perhaps very few young guys dream of being the second wife of an old man. The first wife gets the youth, and the second wife the old age, and maybe the money too.
And what about... could be worse?
No, but women have to deal with that and respect Satan's position.
What a story!
Does a woman really want an old man in her bed every night?
Ah, what does a man, even an old man, want the same woman in his bed every night?
Well, that depends on the woman.
Yes, of course.
Well, these protected women have to be so careful to adapt and not break any norms or conventions, like Jamila, who was put down by her family for honour.
Now, if you really want to know about my family, this is the story of Jamila who broke the rules. If you really want to know what happens here, first you must learn the Quran, then Dari language, then you must really feel our culture.
Tragedy to Jamila was inevitable.
Our family and culture have rules which must be obeyed to protect family honor.
Jamila came from an upper-class family. She was rich and beautiful. A relative who was living abroad had made a fortune and could afford this 18-year-old beauty.
The marriage was arranged. 500 guests, DVD and all.
Wedding ceremony and foods were sumptuous. The bride was beautiful. She had never met the groom before the marriage. He was tall, thin, 40 years, and had travelled overseas to marry her.
They were together for 2 weeks, then he had to go back abroad. From that time on, she lived with her 2 brothers and their wives until a visa could be arranged for her to go abroad.
After 3 months of marriage, the police reported on her. They said they had spied a man crawling through her window. They never got the man, but they found some of his belongings in her room.
Someone must be punished for this crime.
Of course, the woman.
Yes, of course. So, the groom's family dissolved the wedding, took back the gifts and the DVD, and sent her home to her parents who beat her and shut her in her room, while the family council decided what had to be done to restore family honor. 3 days later, they told the neighbors that she had died in an accident.
The funeral was held the next day. Mother and sisters were heartbroken. They all mourned her short life. like the wedding. They said it was a wonderful funeral.
Now, do you want to know what really happened?
In a family's council, Jamila's mother agreed to punish her. She sent her 3 sons to the room to kill their sister. They put a pillow over her face until she was dead. Then they returned to their mother, where they all wept. Family's honor.
Now, how do you deal with this? Secrecy. Belief in punishment for crime.
The punishment was agreed by the family.
So you see, our culture gives us everything to need to deal with our problems.
Did this really happen in Kabul in 2003? How can we know what to believe?
These people have been brainwashed since childhood to believe and obey, regardless of the consequences. They've not been taught to think for themselves.
It seems to me that they see no alternatives. Perhaps we cannot blame them. Sultan's treatment of women and children is perceived as being for their own good, especially in a traditionally dangerous tribal environment where anyone could still be kidnapped.
But they are doing terrible things to their children.
And we should be careful not to paint people without prejudices, Kulu, without realising.
This is the 21st century, not the 14th.
Yes, I agree. Sultan rules his place like a rod of iron, causing havoc and despair wherever he goes, like with Jamila, who was put down for honour.
Alright, what about his daughter?
And his daughter, and then he does it all over again with his daughter Layla.
So, what was the problem with your daughter, Layla?
Ah!
Layla wanted to teach at school, but Sultan would not give permission. So eventually, I helped her to meet the Minister of Education who signed 7 papers for her. But nothing happened.
Nothing happened?
Nothing. Sultan stopped it. Layla could be married to cousin Karim, who is illiterate. He cannot read a word. But she refused. And now she lives with us, like the lowest servant of the Sultan's family.
Is there almost no hope for her?
No. Layla was friend of Jamila and protested to her father about her mother. His reaction? Her crime had to be punished.
What about the man involved?
Nothing. Men rule everything. Even my son refused to allow me to work for the government. Almost nothing happens without Sultan's approval.
All these family conflicts and no hope of change. And yet it seems strange that in some ways Sultan believes himself to be this modern liberal gentleman.
Yes. In Iran, while buying and selling books, he bought himself Western clothes. He regards the book as a cage and would not allow me to wear it.
Excuse me, I just need some air.
Sultan believes that he can change Afghanistan with his books.
Ah, yes, but at home he's an old-fashioned authoritarian patriarch.
Yes, when it comes to ruling his family, he sees no alternatives.
I see. His father dominated him, so he dominates his family in turn. Like father, like son.
Yes, but one night there was a revolution.
Ah, they didn't kill him, did they?
Oh, no. The whole family, except for the 2 wives, moved out, taking nothing with them, to go and live with their uncle and his family.
Ah, a revolution indeed.
And then, Sayishta published a book of her experiences.
Ah, what's this?
Young people have no right to choose to meet or fall in love. They believe love has little to do with romance. On contrary, love can be a serious crime. The sexually undisciplined are cruelly killed. Usually the women will be blamed and even stoned to death. So often the man gets away with it. Young women are objects to be bartered or sold in secrecy for honour. This is accepted culture, and although the politics may change, the deep culture seems to survive, all justified by family honour and protection. But what are the rules of society which allow such things to take place? When the Taliban rolled into Kabul in September 1970, they set the rules with 16 decrees, including prohibition against female exposure, shaving, kite flying, reproduction of pictures, and no Western hairstyles. No wedding dancing or music. No tailors making women's clothes. And no work during daily prayer times. In conclusion, writing this book and spending time in Kabul has been a real experience. But what has been really good is all the support I have had from Afghan women abroad. A lot of them have said what you have written is true. You just didn't go far enough.
Saishta and Sharifa had become great friends. Saishta didn't think that the book would be published in the names made public, or the real names were changed in the published book. But as a famous bookseller in Kabul, he was soon identified, causing public outcry. Trauma indeed.
Well, I don't think any European family would have expected a great friend to write a book revealing all of their secrets.
I think publishing secrets about your friends would be frowned upon in any culture. Unless, of course, you're in America, where they do it all the time. Yeah, especially presidents. I'm looking forward to hearing all about Obama's sex life very soon. What?
Did she speak Dari? She may have got it wrong. It's difficult to get the truth without speaking the language.
Well, maybe my book's just a small part of the story, but it's helping me to understand other cultures. I hope you'll read it too.
It does sound like a very interesting story, Elizabeth. I was just looking it up on the internet here, and apparently in 2005, when Sultan was on a trip to Scandinavia, he claimed political asylum. It seems that the book, pirate copies of the book, had been published in Persian. And he felt it was no longer safe for him to remain in Afghanistan with his family.
This is an announcement for our Italian flight AI 34.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to the bar.
Duty free. Yes, duty free. My duty.
I know.
Well, let me give you an entertainment story from my book.
Oh, go on then.
It is the story of Forbes, a famous war photographer. He worked every day for 30 years, but one day he just suddenly stopped. He went to live in a remote abandoned seaside tower in France, and every morning he went for a swim in the sea. He was painting battle murals on the old walls of his tower.
Oh, I thought you said he was a photographer, not a painter. Thank you. I thought you said he was a photographer, not a painter.
Oh, but that was before.
Ah.
He needed to finish his painting. The plaster was developing deep cracks, which changed the nature of the piece somewhat. I guess you could say it was kind of symbolic of what he was trying to do.
Well, God moves in mysterious ways.
He certainly does.
Perhaps it's part of his grand master plan. Fate.
Maybe. When the mural is finished, the tower can be abandoned again and time will decide its fate. Even the plaster may be part of his plan. One of the great things about the tower is just how difficult it is to get to. It is quite a hike. So you can imagine Falk's surprise when he glances out of his window one morning and sees a man staring up at him.
Hey! What do you want? Are you the photographer? I don't know you. What you doing here?
You may not remember me, but I know you. Once photographed me and looked really proud of that picture.
I've taken many photographs in my time. I can't remember them all.
That was the special one. You earned lots of money, and now you may own all of this, thanks to me. The International Press Prize.
I remember the prize.
Vukovar, in Croatia. I was the soldier in that one.
You are? Oh my God! I thought you were dead!
Yeah, I nearly
At least I owe you a drink. Come, sit down. I didn't recognize you. You were much thinner then.
Yeah, after that I got even thinner.
They were bad times.
You know what you're referring to? I saw that woman killed next to me. It was 3 days after you took my photograph, and you didn't know I was there. I had an explosion, and I saw you kneeling over at that body in the ditch.
No. Not now, please. But I remember the photo I took of you. It was published as The Face of Defeat.
My face. My face was on the cover of so many magazines worldwide.
You've changed so much. I didn't recognize you. So, tell me, how did you get out of Vukovar?
I was wounded. Taken to the hospital and evacuated to a theater.
So what do you want to do?
You made me famous! You made me famous. And never knew my name.
What is your name?
Oh, that's so funny. You took my photograph. We both became famous. And you don't even know my name! Ivo Markov.
So, Ivo Markovic, why have you come back looking for me?
Because I'm going to kill you.
Kill me? Why? What have I done to deserve that?
Relax. And sit down. If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead already. I need to speak to you first. I need to get to know you.
Fawkes realised he had profited from the suffering of others. What a shock for him. Markovic had spent years thinking about killing Fawkes. He could not forget him, especially since the photographs had earned Fawkes so much money and fame. In fact, the photographs brought about the situation. The only remaining question is whether or not Fawkes will live long enough to finish the painting.
The body of that woman was in the ditch 3 days after you took my photograph. You know, at first, I thought you'd be thinking better her than me. Oh, I was wrong. I was so wrong. You must have loved her dearly. And then she fell. But so many journalists fell in that war.
50 or more. And then one more.
She wasn't just one more, was she?
No, please. But you were telling me about that soldier. Yourself, your family.
The family of that soldier, me, was safe. And meanwhile, I was fighting for the country. Although it was less important for me than a Serbian wife and Serbo-Croat child.
A mixed-race marriage.
The official fatherland was a slaughterhouse called Vukovar. Fearsome trap. Imagine Serbian tanks bearing down on that soldier when he had no weapons to stop them. And then one morning, that soldier had to run like a rabbit to save his life. Then, when the survivors regrouped, still panting for breath, you took his photo. My photo!
Your photo?
You know, in recent years, I've been reading a lot. Newspapers, books. I even browsed the internet. My life has changed so much. And then one day I found something that inspired me. An interview you gave on a publication about a great book of photos. You said something about butterflies.
Yes, it was possibly if a butterfly flaps its wings in Brazil and unleashes a hurricane on the other side of the world, or something like that. It's known as the butterfly effect. It is chaos theory.
So curious you should mention that in an interview. You know what happened to me? That soldier was like the wings of the butterfly. Although he didn't know it, both him and the photo reached the hospital and sea. Why? Because I was famous! A Croatian hero! Vukovar had just fallen. Finally. And all my comrades had died fighting. Or were killed by Tragedies. Gruber is my officer.
Did I take his photo too?
Yeah. We were walking together that day when you took the photograph. And then when the city fell, Gruber was in the basement of the hospital. It was good to amputate. They beat him senseless before they shot him in the head and dragged him to the common grave. That soldier, he survived.
That soldier was luckier than his comrades.
Or maybe he wasn't. He was demobilized because of his wound. He's taken in a bus to Zagreb to recover. But he never got there. His leg just ran out.
How?
The bus ran into an ambush. The passengers of the bus were civilians. Many old men, women, children. So instead of killing them all right there, it took them to an interrogation set. And that soldier was subject to routine, rough treatment. And then, quite suddenly between the beatings, the guard recognized me!
Oh, my fault again, huh? My photo?
Yes! I was the man in the famous photo.
I remember the photo. It was called The Hero of Vukovar, the Face of Croatian Defeat.
And so I was tortured for 6 months like an animal. And then, for some strange reason, or by chance, they let me live. I was sent to a prison camp. I spent 2.5 years there.
It must have been hell.
Hell indeed! And one day, they loaded me on a truck. And just when I thought they were going to shoot me, I found myself on the bridge of the River Danube. And heard them say, "Prisoners exchange. Get out and walk away. You're free."
What free, just like that?
What do you think of that story?
It's terrible.
But there's even worse to come.
Yes. I remember. Whole families terminated. Children killed before their parents' eyes.
Yes! And brothers forced to torture each other so that one of them might live. You can't imagine the things the prisoners saw, but you must have learned something during 30-year lifetime of taking battle photographs of cruelty and wickedness!
Is that why you want to kill me? To avenge all these things?
The butterfly effect. What an irony. Such delicate words.
Can we believe such pain, indignity and desperation can happen in Europe while we are living quietly at home?
Can we accept it into our daily lives? Do we even really want to?
Revenge is a great motivator. Peace will only come when we learn to forgive. That's not what I mean.
No, thank you.
So when the Croatian soldier was set free, he tried to find his wife and son. 3 years with no news of them. Many people disapprove of mixed marriages.
That photo made its way to my own village. Somebody had come across a copy of the magazine with my photo as a hero. And there are always people in every village who might not like that.
And?
And one night, a group of Chetniks came to the house. And that soldier's wife and son lay. They raped her and killed the 5-year-old. And just before they left, they slit her throat and painted a certain cross on the wall with the words, "Such a bitch!"
But surely the neighbors called the village police.
Although she screamed all night, not a single person. Tell me, Father, does a person like you ever get really hard at control?
And only photograph what you see, which doesn't affect you. The rest you have to leave for others to deal with later.
But you've taken so many photographs of the scenes I just told you about.
Yes, many.
And what were you thinking as you focused? As you framed your perfect shot?
About the focus, the framing, that's all a technical challenge.
That's why they gave you prize for my photograph? Just a technical challenge? It didn't affect you emotionally at all. Well, perhaps just a professional pride.
To accept the truth of things, it is not necessary to approve of them. The analysis on pain comes later.
Pain? Forgive me, but your photographs do not seem to create much pain for you. They just reflect the pain of the others. No sign of your own pain. Tell me, when did your photographs start giving you pain?
It's complicated. At first my job was an adventure. The pain came later in bursts, until I had a feeling of utter impotence to do anything about what I saw or what I felt. So I resigned myself.
Resigned yourself? So that nothing could hurt you anymore?
You too should resign yourself. You're still alive. That in itself is a kind of resignation, whether you like it or not. You spent years in prison and did not die of pain. You did not hang yourself. You are here now to kill me. You are a survivor. Every time I come across a survivor, I ask myself what they were capable of doing to stay alive. Fair or not, that's what I ask myself. Perhaps surviving is a special kind of tragedy which you know about. Your experience.
But you're a survivor too. You kept breathing when the others were dying. When I saw you leaning over that woman's body, I think you finally started to feel and show pain.
I don't know what I was feeling. It was Olive. I loved her. I still love her. She stepped on a mine. Nobody took a photo.
But you did. I watched you taking camera and photographing her. I never found that photo. Did you destroy that?
Yes!
But somehow that's how it is. Pain has a cut-off point. There comes a moment when it's too much. And it ceases to register. And that's how we survive. That woman's photograph. It's just another depravity that helps you to get through.
You know nothing about it. It was a slow process. But now I think I understand.
Me too. If I had come here 3 years ago, before I know you as I know you now, I would just have given you time to remember who I was. And then kill you.
Professional pride.
Not now. Are you ready how to assume responsibility for your own action?
Maybe when I finish my painting.
Well, you're not a good judge of paintings. But perhaps what you're doing here is even more real than all your photos. Have you painted before?
When I was younger.
So you're originally an artist.
I wanted to be an architect for a while, but I preferred painting. Until I realized that every painting I started to paint had been painted by somebody else before me. Photography allowed me to see in a fraction of a second the things other people couldn't, no matter how hard they tried. Painters included.
But there must be an easier way to practice photography than photographing battles.
I wanted adventure. When I was a boy, I spent hours looking at prints of old masters until one day I came across The Train of Death by Bruegel the Elder. It inspired me.
As long as there's that, there's hope.
That was a bad joke of Oliver's. One Christmas day, after the slaughter of Ceausescu's security, there was an uprising, a revolution in the street. We got out of the city through Hungary and escaped through the Carpathian Mountains. 28 hours taking turns at the wheel, slipping and sliding on icy roads, past farmers with hunting rifles who blocked the British with their tractors. It was like the Wild West. 2 days later, as we were watching families of the dead digging graves in frozen soil of the cemetery with car drivers, only I took a photo of a mourning woman, a black silhouette by a pile of black earth, splattered with red blood on white snow. She let her camera drop to her chest and murmured, "With this death, there's hope."
No, we'll stop thinking about that. Thinking we're going to die makes us feel powerless. Remember the war you survived. Remember the countryside. The memory never fades entirely. The meadow you saw when you waited for approaching enemy. The exact shape of the hill. The bridge that hid you. The trench that protected you from the bombardment. You know?
Yes, I know.
There are places they tried to leave forever. 2.5 years as a prisoner, with only view of the fence and a concrete mountain. And the wind that shook the fence with a sound that still rings in my head. And the sound of this frozen, barren landscape. You know, it's just like one of your photographs.
Yes, only 2. Come.
Allegations that GCHQ have been gathering secret information through spy agencies and accessing private information via internet companies such as Google, Facebook, and Yahoo. The US National Hurricane Center reports that Andrea, the first tropical storm of the 2013 Atlantic hurricane season, has become a post-tropical cyclone. And the UN announces record appeal for victims of Syrian war. And finally, 7 people are dead and several injured in a shooting at Santa Monica College, just a couple of miles from where President Obama was attending a fundraiser. More on these stories and others next.
Yeah, marvellous, thank you. Ginger, have you all right?
Oh, in the end, Hawks decided to go for his morning swim with no intention of returning to shore. Where there is death, there is hope.
Okay, so let me tell you my story now. It was just 4 years ago when I was sitting here in this very same lounge, waiting for my flight to Rome, when I started to talk to a nice, smart-looking Arab gentleman. He had a friendly smile. Are you alright?
Yes, I'm looking for gate 2.
Oh, are you going to Rome too?
Yes, I hope the plane comes soon. I just wait for 2 months.
Is it your first visit to Rome?
Yes, but we speak Arabic, not good English.
My name is Pamela. I live in America, not Arabic. But I think America has a lot to learn from your wonderful tradition. I've read the Quran in English.
Well, maybe Arab culture has a lesson to you.
I would love to learn more from you now, but the flight is ready for boarding. So, it was nice to meet you, Abdul. Good luck in Rome. I boarded the plane with my ex-husband, Indre, a celebrated musician. We had the best business seats at the front, and the flight was full with over 120 people on board, including many American servicemen going on shore leave.
Sounds like a good flight.
Oh, it was unforgettable.
Move and we kill. Not obey, we blow grenades. No dog on bed explodes. Now, I want all your money or you die. Money, jewelry, traveler's check. Now, quickly. What is this watch with Israeli star on it? Are you an Israeli pig? I will kill you! Not Israeli? Fine. You may live for now, but I will smash your watch!
And we gave them everything. Even the American soldiers didn't dare to attack them. Abdul was the leader of the hijack. And the main problem was when someone needed to go to the toilet.
What?
Abdul. I need to go to the bathroom.
Go. Go!
It took 3 hours to get to Algiers. At first, they refused us permission to land, but we landed anyway with almost no fuel remaining.
Attention! This is Freedom Fighters for Allah. Do you understand me?
Yes, understood.
Refuel the plane now within 20 minutes, or I kill the pilot, and then I kill all the other hostages.
Not possible.
Not possible? Then the chief pilot dies. Now, the chief pilot is dead. Refuel the plane, or I kill all the other hostages.
Okay. Hold it. Wait 5 minutes.
We arrived in Beirut, and the hijackers tried to negotiate, refused by the control tower. So they said they will beat several of the men up on the plane, including Indre.
Beirut Control Tower. This is FFA. Do you understand me?
Yes, understood.
First, light up the plane, and then set food and fluid. 80 people on board.
Agreed.
Now, contact the German government to release 7 FFA members sent to prison last month. They know the names. They must be here in 24 hours. If not, I will kill 1 passenger every hour. Understood?
Understood. But that's not possible.
So I started to kill now.
Then they killed a US Navy diver on board and dropped him on the tarmac. And they got the world press attention, and negotiations begun. And then more FFA were allowed to come on board. And the first question, they said, "Where is the famous one? Where is Indre?"
I suppose they knew about him because of the international publicity.
I thought they were going to kill him. But I was amazed. They chatted away with him in Arabic. So I stood up and said, "I'm going with you, Indre, no matter what."
FFA,
Attention!
German government refuses agreement. Offers you freedom if you release everyone unharmed.
No! They have 2 more hours. And if not, I will set an explosive and blow up this plane. Out!
Must have got press attention.
Yes, the FFA were very clever. They organized for a young stewardess via the radio control tower to say goodbye to her family.
International publicity.
Political attention at the highest level.
It worked.
Within an hour, the control tower called again.
Attention, active FFA. We have a response.
Waiting!
German government has agreed 7 FFA prisoners detained in Germany will be cleared here for release. It will take 72 hours to arrange. Agreed?
Agreed. Exactly 72 hours from this moment. Allahu Akbar.
Then somehow he negotiated for me, Indre, and 3 American soldiers by the control tower to be released. And then we were put in the bottom of a car with a convoy of 2 tanks and other armored cars, and were transported to this secret apartment close to the sea. With all the publicity of Indre and his brave wife, the Israeli gunboats arrived to attack and rescue us. All this thanks to the media.
Yes, down!
Why don't you give up?
You stay.
We were valuable hostages. And the hijacker should have been protecting us. It was way too much for me. I just wanted to have a little peace.
It's a wonder you weren't all killed, by one side or the other.
The Israelis didn't rescue us. And the strangest thing happened with these hijackers. One night, they even celebrated his birthday, as it was reported on CNN. Somehow they got him a birthday cake, and all their wives and children, they came along to be photographed with him.
Smiling in photos with hijackers.
And they were so pleased. They even took the bullets out of their guns and gave them to their babies to play with him.
This is Ramadan, with only after sundown. Raw fresh liver and raw fat in the pita bread. This will not please you.
I was so hungry. So little food for 2 days.
Raw liver, how disgusting.
Yes. And they kept moving us. We thought we were going to be executed. We were wrong.
Sadly, terror is rather popular with the media.
You can imagine it. 5 days in different secret apartments, often guarded by just a 14-year-old with a gun.
Didn't you try to escape?
You know, we were emotionally exhausted.